I'm joined now by Congressman Brad Schneider, a Democrat from Illinois and a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, who just returned from a trip to the Middle East. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We've seen Iran's initial retaliation against U.S. forces. Do you feel encouraged that the response was not more forceful, or are you concerned that Iran's retaliatory strikes could start to intensify?
Well, first, I'm grateful that no one was injured in the attack. I'm always concerned about Iran. Iran has been threatening the United States for more than 40 years since this regime took power. They attacked our Marine barracks in Lebanon and in Saudi Arabia, blew up the Khobar Towers. So we always have to take those threats seriously. I am hopeful at the same time that this effort to attack our air base Al Udeid in Qatar is their response, and we can move towards escalation. We are at this fork in the road. My hope is we can move to de-escalation and move to getting to the negotiating table and permanently closing Iran's nuclear pathways to a nuclear bomb at the negotiating table.
And you, of course, were just in the region. In fact, I believe your delegation was not able to make it into Israel because of what was happening with the conflict there. What did you hear, though, from the countries in the region before the strikes took place?
Sure. So we were actually we left the day after the strikes in Iran began on Friday the 13th. We visited Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. What we heard in all of those countries was grave concern about the prospects of Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Nuclear-armed Iran is considered a existential threat to every Arab country in the Gulf region, to Israel, and it's a threat to the United States, Europe, and the world as well. So definite concerns about Iran's program and march towards a nuclear weapon, but also a keen desire to quickly move to de-escalation because they understood that every day this war goes on, the threat of whether it's intentional or accidental, the war expanding to other nations grows.
So to that end, do you think that Operation Midnight Hammer was the most effective way to eliminate Iran as a nuclear threat?
Well, they say the proof of the pudding's in the tasting, and I think the strike on Fordo was where Iran had the bulk of its centrifuge operations, their enrichment of uranium. They had enriched more than 400 kilograms, 900 pounds to 60%. Enrichment, 90% is the threshold for a nuclear weapon. So we are very concerned. So I think we needed to stop Iran's program and the strike on Fordo. If that advanced if that was justified, we'll have a classified briefing tomorrow, and I'm anxious to hear what the administration shares with us. I wish they had shared that information earlier, but short of that, I'm going to wait and reserve my judgment until I see the actual classified information.
So how concerned are you, though, that this could potentially widen and this conflict could end up turning into a protracted war?
We're obviously concerned about the prospects. A nation can decide when to start a war. They don't get to necessarily determine when or how that war ends. But I can tell you this, the battle between Israel and Iran, which, as I said, has been going on, it didn't start last week. It's been going on for years. The threats from Iran to the Middle East and to the broader world, including the United States, I would much rather be fighting Iran under these circumstances than the prospect of fighting a nuclear-armed Iran. So we have to block their path and permanently close every path Iran has to a nuclear weapon. And I'm hopeful that the steps taken and opening the door to negotiations, as the administration has done, will bring Iran back to the table, will force them to get back into compliance with the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty to allow inspectors in, and we can ultimately achieve our primary goal, or actually our only goal, which is to end Iran's nuclear program.
Now, one of your fellow Democrats, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, called the president's decision to conduct the operation without congressional consent a, quote, impeachable offense. She tweeted, "The president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment." Do you agree with her, sir?
I don't. Look, the War Powers Act requires every administration, if they're going to take military action, to notify Congress within 48 hours. I believe that the president should have notified congressional leadership, both the Democrats and the Republicans, not only Speaker Johnson, but Leader Jeffries in the Senate, Minority Leader Schumer and Leader Thune. They should have been notified. They should have notified the intelligence committees as well. There are ways to do this. These are safeguards to make sure that we are always putting American national interest first and foremost. But the president is in line with the War Powers Act. We can have a long debate about that. Now, as we move forward, the War Powers Act requires Congress to vote and to decide whether or not this is action we want to take. My hope is, as the administration has claimed, this is a single strike and they are not pursuing war. They are open to peace. My hope is that we open the door to negotiations. And as I said before, that through the actions taken first by Israel and now joined by the United States, joined by our allies in the region and around the world, that we can compel Iran to abandon its nuclear ambitions, compel Iran to join the family of nations and stop. They're the #1 sponsor of terrorism. Stop supporting terrorism. They have supported the Houthis, the Hezbollah, Hamas. They have undermined and tried to undercut the nations around the region. They can be a positive player, or they can choose to continue down the path of nefarious activity, and they're going to pay the consequences.
Speaker Johnson indicated today, though, that he does not think it's the time to bring a resolution to the floor authorizing the use of military force against Iran. Should you and your fellow Democrats push more forcefully for Congress to be directly involved as this conflict moves forward?
100% we should push to be directly involved. The Constitution gives only the Congress the right and the power to take the nation into war, not the executive branch or anybody else. We have to exercise our constitutional responsibilities and protect our constitutional prerogatives. I disagree with the Speaker 100% on this. I imagine that if it wasn't a Republican president in the White House, he might feel differently. I will tell you, I feel the same way, whether it is a Republican in the White House or a Democrat in the White House. Only Congress has the responsibility and the right to take the nation into war after debate, after consideration, and after a vote.
Okay. Congressman Brad Schneider, we covered a lot. Thank you as always, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.